All right, welcome to We Up Report Live. This is your host, Mr. Blows Your Minds. Going at this as a kind of a testing to see if this is going to work. I'm not sure how well this is going to work or what I'm trying to do, but we're going to try to make this work as best as possible. So let's go ahead and as we're kind of waiting to see if anybody's going to show up, and then if not, let's go ahead and get ready to get into this.
Portions of the following program may be unsuitable for younger or more sensitive viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
Disclaimer. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news, reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Non-profit education or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. This video was made for entertainment purposes and is transformative in nature.
All right, want to welcome everybody to the We Up Report. Again, I'm your host, Mr. Blows Your Minds, and welcome. First and foremost, you know how I got to say what's good to my subscriber, my day one, the original day one. How y'all doing, everybody, and the passerbys? This is happen to be the most hated show in the black corner of YouTube. Happen to go down the aisle, happen to see something to make you feel some kind of way. Remember, the motto of my show is the truth don't need no partner. So I want to say what's good to those who sit in there. Let me know, man. You know, I'm actually texting this out. I see Mr. Spencer's up in the crib. What's good here? You hear, Miss? All right. You know, I got to test this out. I got to see how this thing working. Let me know if my sound, because this is not like my system. It's just another way of me doing it. But I'm going to try to make it work for what it is. I appreciate you being here, Mr. Spencer. 0620. What's good, brother? Yes, sir. Everything is good. All right. So what I'm going to do is, this is kind of a test show to see if this way I can go live, because, you know, they done did everything possible to keep a brother up out of this circle. Many people don't realize the fact that I've been in as long as I've been in can't get 100 views after, you know, I already know what it is. I did that video back in the day. And, they've been ever since saying, now this show ain't gonna get off the ground. So anyway, what we're gonna do is I have some things I want to talk about, because there's some things that done happened recently that I think that we need to be talking about. One is particular about that abduction of the 4 black children. Did any of y'all see that? Where the Detroit officers made a traffic stop, rescuing, or really, actually just, I think it was the Most High, right? Creator, Most High, God, however you want to call it, happened to have a brother, and it was a brother as a cop that intervened and, you know, saved those 4 children. You know, that is the worst scenario any of us can go through as parents, grandparents, so forth, that if we get that call, you know, and to say 4 in one family, you know, you got to count your blessings on that. But I want to touch that. I mean, I heard a couple of people kind of, you know, nonchalantly went over it. But let's go ahead and look at this, because we got to remember, we're in a day and time where things are just kind of like, we have to be very apprehensive. We have to let those that who we are rearing, who we are affinity, friendships, whatever that might be, family members and so forth, that people are out here on the prowl. For us to sit here and act as if things are not somebody has a design and trying to make that thing fruition, we can't act like that's not true. Because if we sit here and try to act like that's not true, then we'll get caught with our pants down, and then we're going to have to suffer the consequences. There's already some designs that's already is working, but when stuff like this happen, where I think we done forgot about when we talk about the talk, I don't know if we still having the talk anymore. I think some people have said, well, since we've done had a so-called black president, people are now having intermarriages, that some things are just, that was in the past. It's not to make people and shorties and those who are the little ones that we're rearing to make them think about race, but if stranger danger is only looking like ourselves, this is the kind of situation that can happen. So I'm going to tell you a little bit more about this, and I'm going to give you some of the visuals that I got. So the Detroit police who noticed something peculiar about a woman and 4 children in a van they stopped for a traffic violation, saved the youngsters from a kidnapping. That's what the authorities had said Friday. Now, that wasn't this Friday that just passed. I think this happened like maybe last week. And I think last week being Tuesday. Matter of fact, last week Tuesday. So last week Tuesday was on the northwest side, and they had arrested a woman. They say accused. I don't know. I know that's for paper, right? They got to say accused, but we're gonna see for what it is. But she was abducting the youngsters. The age ranged from 11-year-old boy. There was an 8-year-old girl. There was another 7-year-old girl, and then there was a 5-year-old boy. So there was 4 of them all together, ranging from the ages of 11 to 5. And according to the details in the court and the news conference, you're going to see, as I show you here, you're going to see that the mother was kind of teared up, choked up, because who wouldn't be? Who of us would get some call allowing our children to just go to school? Because let's put it like this. At certain ages, like we said, 11, 8, 7, and 5, it's old enough. The 11-year-old is old enough, at least from the way we was raised, how we grew up, right? The oldest is always going to be kind of like that alternative babysitter when if you got 1 parent, 2 parents, and they got to do something, you become the oldest and you start learning how, you start to get the responsibilities at that age. So, but when we're talking about traversing, going to school, you would think that 11, 8, and 7 with the 5-year-old should be sufficient, but depending on the traversing from point A to point B, and then whatever's in between, a lot of us are very apprehensive. We take our children, we'll walk our children to the building, and especially that 11-year-old, they maybe got other friends. If not, people driving them to school. So this one is going to be counting her blessings, because think about that, y'all. 4 young ones. 4. Not one. Not saying 1 is better than 4, but 4. Somebody getting that call say all 4 of your children missing, right? So anyway, going on more with the story. So we're going to see, as I'm going to show you in this video, you're going to see how that she was tearfully, moved by this whole situation. Now, her name is Stephanie Marie Bender. She's 37 years old. They arraigned her at the 36th District Court. Now, they gave her 4 counts of kidnapping, child enticement, 4 counts of unlawful imprisonment, 1 count of unlawful driving away of an automobile, 1 count of receiving and concealing stolen property, the motor vehicle, and she was given a $5 million bond. Now, I did some research to look at these counts that they were giving her, and based on what they were talking about, when you talk about that child enticement, based on the fact that she has 4 children, so they're talking about child enticement is 4 years, 4,000 fine. So we're going to say 4 times 4 is 16. And they, when they say up to is the max. So we're just going to say her getting the max with the 4 children, that's 16 years just for the child enticement. Then it's the fact that it's an unlawful imprisonment, which is the biggest one of all of them. which is up to 15 years. So we're going to say 15 times the 4 is 60, right? They're talking about that. Also, you could give a $20,000 fine, or they can do both. So we're talking about $80,000 in fine, 60 years of imprisonment. Then the fact that she has unlawful driving away, which is up to 5 years. And then the concealed stolen property, which is 10 years, 15,000, but there's a lot of stipulations involved in that. So this, if we do the math for 16, 60, and 5, that's would be about 81 years. That's with everything being the max. So she 37, possibility she may not get out of there to at least unless she crawling. And I think that would be appropriate. Because again, you know, the concealed part was the fact that she was driving around in a vehicle like a daycare bus. And so inconspicuously riding around, and then happen to see these 4 children and they entice accordingly, as you're going to hear, the baby, but the older ones was not going to let the baby go without them going with them. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they did their part, but I mean, getting in that vehicle, you know, like I said, the mama gonna have to count her blessings. But the fact is, this woman had a stolen vehicle, meaning when they pulled her over for the stoplight, normally don't they run your plates too? So if they would have just went on based on the traffic stop and then would have let her go without her running them plates to find out that that vehicle was stolen, that's another aspect to it. But accordingly, they caught, basically, this is what they say. They said that the officer had pulled the van over, seeing that the children were inside of there. And according to the Wayne County Prosecutor Office, they said it was about 7:30 that morning on the road of Grand River and Evergreen, which is on the northwest side over there in Detroit. And again, like I said, that van was marked as a daycare. And the fact that the officer, now what you're going to see in this story here is you're going to see 2 officers. But I think primarily the brother of the officer probably had his antenna, his intuition, you know what I'm saying, being on code, right? We talk about that a lot in this corner, about being on code. So being on code in that situation, by just saying, well, she was white with a daycare. I see some kids, they look a little off. She off. He asked, is them your kids? She say yes. Kids like shaking their head no. So I'm not gonna say that the cat that was with the brother didn't notice it, but I think, you know, we're gonna have to give his praise to him for the simple fact that he did his job. Because you know they always say we don't like cops. It's not that we don't like cops. It's the fact that when police are harassing, you know, putting you in situations that are not warranted, that's our issue. We ain't got no problem with police doing their job. What we got a problem with is those things. And when you do your job, we're gonna give you flowers for that. But how rare it is for a situation in the progress of something happen that police intervene. So I said the Most High Creator was intuitive with their brother, had their brother recognize and peep what was going on, and got involved, because this story could be entirely something different than what ended up being, right? So that's what we have to look at. And so he stopped them, as they talk about in this story here. They go and talk about more, and then they said that according to the officer, he said he noticed the child's body language, and he noticed how it seemed that they were in trouble. See, that keen, that on code, that being us, being who we are as Black people. See, it's one thing that when we live in our vicinities and we can recognize, like, we look at each other with that same stranger danger, right? And so our children actually know, they know the wino, they know the crackhead, you know what I'm saying, the neighborhood, but they know all that, and they know to stay away from them. But some people whose skin ain't of our kin, and they see them, why they feel so like accepting, Why there ain't no stranger or no danger? You get what I'm saying? We got to have those conversations. It's not about being racist. What it is just saying everybody's susceptible to be looked at under the, the eye of not trusting in those situations. Matter of fact, I think that was part of the talk. You don't go with nobody. Somebody come to you. You know how you go the other direction and so forth. Are we still having those conversations? Or are we being lackadaisical about it and just believing that everything good? And then when these situations hit us, now we want to, you know what I'm saying? We can't be doing that. So anyway, let me show you this video here of this incident, and we'll be right back. Check this out.
Hey, you sitting here watching the video. Why you sitting there? Put your hand on that like button, click it, thumbs it up, share this video, comment. You can like or dislike it. We don't care about that. And also, if you ain't over here and subscribe, what you waiting on? Get yourself on there and subscribe to get on up to WeUpReport so you can stay up, because we're going to keep you up. That's how you help keep this channel going. You can also do some monetary donations. We'll tell you about that later. But right now, wake yourself up, like, share, and comment. And don't forget, when you subscribe on that button, hit that put all notifications. You know how YouTube get down.
Teach our children there is safety in numbers, that traveling in groups can protect them from danger. Yet Detroit police say one woman managed to kidnap 4 children all at once this week. 7 Action News reporter Kim Russo spoke to their mom about how they were rescued.
Detroit police say the woman who kidnapped 4 children all at once made one big mistake. She ran a red light here on Grand River. Police saw, pulled her over, giving the children a chance to seek help. This is a look at Ring doorbell surveillance video. A tree blocks the children from view, but you can see a van pull up. There is yelling. Detroit police say this woman, 37-year-old Stephanie Marie Binder of Detroit, at the moment is kidnapping 4 siblings trying to walk together to school on Tuesday morning. She is now charged with the crime.
I just thank everyone that's involved that my children are back home safe.
The mom of the 4 children thanked police during a press conference today. Detroit Police Chief James White says officers Parrish and Flannel felt something wasn't right and asked a question they don't always ask after they pulled her over.
Are these your children? To which she said yes. At the same time, the children were shaking their head no.
I have kids of my own, so it has brought me joy to actually get the kids back home to their mother.
As for how Binder allegedly kidnapped 4 children ages 5 to 11, their parents say she enticed the youngest into her van first, and the older children followed to protect the little one, which they ultimately did during that traffic stop.
She preyed on my youngest one. The oldest one did not want to leave his younger brother.
And I just want to congratulate the City of Detroit police officers for performing their duties.
Right now, Binder is in jail, held on a $5 million bond. In Detroit, Kim Russell, 7 Action News.
All right, we are back. So there's that story that you heard right there. You know what I mean? Like I said, I see the brother, Mr. Spencer says, I did have the talk with my kids, but they didn't believe me until now when they grown, right? That's what we have to do. We don't got no choice to sit here and try to act as if like, if I turn a blind eye, am I a horse with blinders on and acting as if like everything not in my peripheral, and if I don't tell my children about it, those things, again, you know about being knocked out. Knocked out is being a punch that you don't see. So when you don't inculcate into your children about not just the do's and the don'ts, but also about the precautions and awareness of always understanding where you are and understanding who are people around you. Because those conversations, as you say, what you said when they were little, that's how it is. You know, I used to say back in the day too, I used to be like, are you listening or are you hearing me? There's a difference between listening and there's a difference between hearing. listening, you hearing the vibrations, right? But if you hear me, you taking in what I done told you. And you know, sometimes you know how it is, fellas, and sometimes sisters too. You talking to somebody and they watching TV. They hear you. They may be nodding their head like, yeah, I hear you, right? They don't respond. They just nodding like they hear you. You get to the point where you recognize you ain't even hearing nothing what I'm saying, right? But that's why the repetitiveness of us constantly inculcating and always saying these things, because I can't imagine what she was feeling. And matter of fact, you seen the brother that was part of that too, right? He gave kudos to those cops. And like I said, I believe that brother was the one that actually went extra, got on code. I'm not gonna say the maybe Hispanic dude that was with him didn't, but I see that they said the brother said, I have kids too. So he did what we're talking about as grown-ups that children don't understand, but we gotta do that. And again, that's just the talk. We kind of been lackadaisical. There's a lot of things that's happening out here that it seems people are just kind of, you know, don't have any kind of structure when it's dealing with, because you can see the chess moves of, like, say, for instance, these flash mobs. Some people think that's just something that they're reporting, that is not setting a setup move for coming down the line. And actually, when we think about these other trials that done took place, especially the one that was in Milwaukee. Matter of fact, while I'm talking about that, you know, did y'all hear what that Candace Owens said a couple days ago? As we're talking about that, remember what she said a couple days ago when she was on the Carlson Tucker show? I'm gonna play the video for you and let you hear what that conversation was between them. It's just a little gist of it. It's not the entirety of it. But let's just look at this, because I'm going to show you what she's talking about, but I'm giving you the connection to it as well. So check this out, and we'll be right back following this.
Well, the suspect in the Waukesha Christmas parade tragedy on Sunday night will be charged in court later today, facing 5 counts of intentional homicide. And while the DA is calling for bail to be set so high that Darrell Brooks won't be able to get out of jail, many are wondering how he was on the street given his lengthy rap sheet. He's a career criminal. This is, we learned he was out on a $1,000 cash bond just before the parade.
Are so race obsessed. And one thing I always say, Tucker, is that the left can pull a racist narrative from thin air where it doesn't exist, but when it actually is in their face, they try to avoid it at all costs, especially when the perpetrator is a black person against another white person, which obviously happens more often in this country, given the fact that black Americans are the most murderous group in America by rate. Now, what's interesting here is that the 2 biggest race cases of the last 2 years, arguably George Floyd and Kyle Rittenhouse, never actually produced a single piece of evidence pointing to race, right? George Floyd, Derek Chauvin never used racial language or racial slurs against George Floyd during that arrest. It didn't matter. It became the biggest race case in America. Kyle Rittenhouse, that case had to do with 3 white people. It didn't matter. They extracted a racial narrative for that case. Here you have a man who was pointedly talking about white people all across social media, sometimes genocidal, by the way. He was sharing posts from Zimbabwe, news sources talking about the disappearance of white people in the country in the next 5 years as if it was a good thing.
All right, so we are back. So that was Candace Owens, and you've seen the backlash she got just on that clip there. I didn't play it in its entirety, but that was the gist of it, because she's alleging that Black Americans are the most murderous group in America, right? The most murderous, right? I mean, you know, we're number one in a lot of things in this country, right? So that everything that's negative, find a way to make us number one. Whether it's about our health, is it about our family? It's about our economics. Well, we first about being broke, right? You know, we number one in a lot of categories that nobody want to be number one in. But this one for sure, we ain't number one. But let somebody else tell you. And the thing is, too, man, think about this. How many people have you seen on the other side of the table who speak like this and talk about they be advocating for their people? I'll wait, man. Anybody want to tell me anybody they seen? I've never seen nobody of any other persuasion of people have people who talk about their own people and yet say they for their people. You know, it leaves you speechless because it's just like, okay, you know, some people will say that, you know, we'd be divisive when we start saying, okay, we want to be identifying people according, even in the inner groups, not just so much as just your skin make you black, but that don't mean your ideology, how you looking at the world, your lineage and history that gives you a different kind of stance. Because some people would think that this person who's speaking is like those of us who come from our ancestry that come from the South. And so I don't think that, I mean, some people got this idea that because, let's say, for instance, you're a generation or two, that you were born here and your parents came from somewhere else, that because you grew up here, you took on the culture, you have friendships, you understand English and so forth, lets you to be in front as an advocate for people who, you know, you don't really have the same stance. You don't go through the same gripes. And your history does not detail that as to the trauma that we've gone through. So it seems that it's easy to try to say, well, the reason why all this is happening is for the simple fact that you guys are the problem. Let me say that again. Basically, on a nutshell, this is what they're saying. You know, they always said the Negro problem, right? It's the Negro problem, right? And so the Negro problem keeps being a problem. You guys won't capitulate. You will not kneel to Zod. You will not just, you know, do accordingly. You always want to keep bringing up as if that's a hindrance. I seen a video the other day, and in that video, it was talking about, you know, those people who was talking about the Donald Trump and that whole thing that was behind with the, what's that group they're calling it? It was a group, the little special group and the codes and all that shit. So they were talking this shit, and then he was saying this thing, and then he threw in, he said, and black people are still trying to blame us for what happened hundreds of years ago with slavery. All right. For those people who love saying it, who always want to talk about something, oh man, you guys still hold on to slavery. Give me the month, the day, and the year that all of that stopped. Give me the month, the day, and the year. I'll wait. Because I know that's impossible. You can't do it. You talk about Civil War, you talk about civil rights, you talk about Board of Education. But my thing is, you have not repaired for the long atrocity of things that had happened. It's the cause and effects part. So here's a person who's, again, she gets on TV, she's allowing these people who watch to say, well, we know we wouldn't get on TV and say that, but if she's saying that, maybe she's right. So she's allowing that to give them the validity of that sick part in most of their damn minds that try to validate this, making where's the problem when the problem is just the cause and effect of prolonging and continuation of a system that's always been what it's been. And so it's just crazy that she gets on here and then she says things. So let me give you some of the stuff that they talked about dealing with this. Let me go ahead and get into this, because I mean, just to say that in itself, you know, a lot of people give her a lot of credit, like, you know, she is this, you know, I really don't know what you want to call it, but anyway. So as you heard in that video there, right, they're talking about how she stated what she stated, but she doesn't give any data. And saying something like that is actually very dangerous. It's kind of like as I got as part of the title, right? Where I talked about as those who might have came in and seen the thumbnail, wasn't sure how that came out because I'm using this. Sowing subliminal seeds of sedition, right? Sowing subliminal seeds of sedition. Sedition, you know, it's treasonous. When you talk about in this country, to be seditious is treasonous. So when somebody like her is speaking the way that she's doing, is she not being treasonous to people by telling other people we the most murderous? When we know we keep seeing sanction and let's say, well, they're never going to say they sanction it, right? But impunity, right? We see sometimes with punity and then we see in these cases lately that somebody's trying to justify, but there ain't really no justification in it. It's just that you got caught with your pants down and cameras don't lie. You'll try to spin it to make it a lie, but when you caught so red-handed, you got no choice but to give it up, right? So we're talking about the Ahmaud Arbery situation. We're talking about the George Floyd situation. We've seen what we've seen with the Breonna Taylor situation, but again, we didn't get to see the inside. So we only got to hear what was told to us, but then all the evidence was saying something entirely different. So that case, based on the fact that money was given, so here's a person who gets on this news and she wants to say we the most murderous group. Now again, you just had a situation, and let's go. I'm gonna look at some of that she talked about. She talked about Kyle Rittenhouse. You know, a lot of them is trying to make that like what it is, and then she said that we as Black people are taking a situation like that and pulling race out of the damn air. Really? Is that what we do? We pull race out of the damn air? Now, she's a Black conservative. I got this question. I understand this political game of what they call Republican and Democrat, and then they come out left and right. As a Black person, and you be talking about this damn Constitution and all this good stuff, right? What are you conserving? What really are you conserving? I understand the ideology of the party, but when all that stuff was constructed, who were you, where were you, and where was you when they wrote that? So a lot of people, again, not to deal with what the real crux of everything is, what you want to do is you want to jump on something to go with the ideology and not understanding that that is against you too. But anyway, being a Black conservative, and to say that we are the most murderous group in the nation. Now, she's making that reference because, again, now, right after the Kyle Rittenhouse, and then you had the Ahmaud Arbery, then you had the situation with the Darrell Brooks, right? Nobody's been talking about that. Everybody has left that alone, like, leave that alone. But let's look at some of the things she has said. Now, I wish I was doing it on the way I normally would do it when I do my videos, because I could show you step for step. But until I figure this out here on doing it through this StreamYard, as you can see, I got some parts of it, but I ain't got everything. I ain't got it all the way down. I'm new to this, but I'm gonna be true to it. But I'm new to it. But the point is, she's using the Darrell Brooks to now justify, to say, look, he went down and he did this. Now again, we're not here to try to justify what he did, but again, cause and effects. Because let me tell you, when I seen the video, what I did see, right? I seen somebody come down the street, and let's put it like this. I'm gonna tell you what she has said. Let me get more into this, because I'm gonna tell you something, and somebody might take this and run with it, but I'm just gonna tell you according to what she said, and then this will actually validate the statement I'm gonna make. So anyway, they talking about the 39-year-old Black man, again, Darrell Brooks, and how he ran through a crowd of a Christmas parade, Waukesha, Wisconsin. I say Waukesha, right? But anyway, so killing 6 people and injuring 60 others, according to the reports. That's what they had said. And Now, you didn't get to hear the entirety of that conversation, but you got the gist of it. But this is what she said. She said the conservative comment, okay, her being the conservative, and she claimed that Democrats were downplaying the incident because the attackers were non-whites. We only got to see the video, right? Some of us got to see the video where we see again coming down the street. In the beginning, he's going fast, but he's trying to move. He's a little left, a little right, where if anybody had real intent, when I come down that block, if I'm hypothetical, again, this is a hypothetical situation. I'm not inciting or telling, I'm just saying hypothetically, if my intent was to go down there to do what you claiming was to be done, from the time I hit that block, boom, 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 boom. You get what I'm saying? But when you see the video, you see him trying to maneuver. So what I'm going to tell you later, I'm going to tell you why I say what I'm saying, and then she's validating that. But just hold on. You're going to get there. We're going to get there, right? So anyway, she's saying that Democrats, now again, is Democrat a code word for black? Is Republican code word for white? Is code word right means white and left means black? I mean, because the way she's talking, that's what it sounds like to me. So Democrats are playing down the incident because attackers were non-white. Are Democrats white too? Are Democrats Hispanic? Is Democrats Asians and so forth? I would say yes, but the way she's speaking, this means, I guess you're talking to the black Democrat. So we, and those of all of us, because a lot of us either don't play politics, may not be Democrats, and if they are Democrats, so we kind of not like, this one trajectory of the way that we looking at everything. So anyway, that's how she's saying it. Now, she said we're accused of she's accusing the political party of being obsessed with race only when it benefits them. Wait a minute, is that a black woman? Is she black? What she mean we obsessed with race? Black people don't pull race card. Y'all say card, we tell you the situation in the scenario. We ain't got no card to play. This ain't no damn spades. We playing it and showing it for what it is. And so you want to sit here, again, you advocating on behalf of people for whatever reason, whatever they, again, greasing your pockets or whatever you're doing. But the point is, obsessed with race, this country was founded on race. It's structured in that. When you go fill out an application, does not they check which race, your box or your race? Does it not say on the census to check which box? I mean, on your birth certificate, does it not got race on it? I mean, so somewhere in the structure of this whole game that we call the United States, race is there. So if anybody's obsessed, the game was there before we got here. It's always been that way. But you, as this person who will never really identify who you really are, but we already know you got some Caribbean roots, and that ain't got nothing against my Caribbean people. But just imagine if you are from the Caribbeans and she talking like that against y'all. Y'all know y'all wouldn't be having it. You wouldn't be having it. And that words that she said are really detrimental and defamatory as a group, that you talking about being canceled. And I think you done said too many things that you should have been at least be accountable by now. But seem like you can see how to get away with it. So anyway, she said, one thing I always say, Tucker, is the left can pull a racist narrative from thin air. Really? Give me the situation that we made up race. Everybody love to say, you guys it's always about that. Show us one time when you see collectively black people saying something in unison and we've been wrong. Show it to me. Prove it to me. That's right, ain't that? Nothing. Nothing, not one thing. You can't come up with one time. Because why? That's a deflective tactic. That's you needing something to deflect from the simple fact that you know that you don't want to hear it. You don't want to be dealt with. So what you do is you find somebody like this person, and I'm going to go get some other people who their job is to get in front of white folks and then say these things to make it seem like, well, see, if she's black and he's black and they're saying it, it must be true. But you're paying them. And they'll say anything for $1. It's like back in the day, it had the organ grinder with the monkey on with a string, and you play the tune, put the money in the cup, play a tune, whatever you want, you put that money in that box, right? So to say that we pull narratives out the air, I have seen not one false narrative that we've ever said. Not one. There's none. Now, you know what they're gonna hold us to? You know who they're gonna hold us to? Juicy Smollett. That's who they're gonna hold us to. That's what that's about. They're gonna use that one situation, the one get out of card, the one get out of jail free card. That's the one they're gonna hold over our head. See, he went down there and he said this. But again, Juicy saying that happened. That's what Juicy said. Juicy said that's happened. I don't know what y'all talking about. He ain't make up nothing. He said they don't want to expose themselves. But again, we don't know. We weren't there. We know what the narrative of what the story they told us, but the reason why they're doing that is because that was to quail down, to show that the boy who cried wolf. See, they was always looking for the one. You know, like they were talking about the white hope. I don't know if any of y'all seen my video I did about stopping the bad man. If you ain't seen that video, that's what that's about, right? So they're always looking for, like they said, the white hope in that one. Well, they're looking for the black hope that's going to give them the narrative so that they can say, see? So you got the Jesse Smollett now. So the boy that cried wolf. But you know what? There's some other additives to him, but we're going to still bring him in the family. But yet, some of them that fall under that umbrella that he's under, some of them will separate themselves from us until they get their ass in trouble. Then all of a sudden, brother, sister, right? Brother, sister, but you know, anyway. So they again, she says we pull a narrative from out the thin air. And when we actually when it's actually in our face, they try to avoid it at all costs. Give me the situation that we avoided that was a race, other than the Jesse Smollett. And we all said from the beginning, we know what we said. We know what we thought. If we didn't say it, we know what it was. Other than Jesse Smollett, give us another situation. Give me one. Somebody got one for me? Anybody got something? No? Nothing, huh? Nothing. Mr. Sister, that's right. Nothing. There's nothing you can pull out the air. But you'll try it, though. So basically what she's trying to say is, since the Kyle Rittenhouse situation happened, and all the stuff that many people were saying, that y'all made that up, and look what happened. Wait a minute, hold on. Just because the court finds you, innocent, does that necessarily mean it didn't happen? I'm going to say that one more again. Can somebody still be guilty and yet get off in court? I mean, that's what having representation is for, right? When the O.J. Simpson case went to trial, then a lot of people believe that the fact that he got off is because he had the funds to have the dream team, right? When you got a defense team like that, there ain't nothing that they probably couldn't fight to get you out of. Find some technicality, whatever. And then you had Johnny Cochran, which is, the Mount Rushmore of it. So they cried and said because he had that, right? All right. So, but what happens when you ain't got no dream team, and then the people who are sitting behind the system is going to let things manifest itself, and then you say, we don't see that. You want to say, well, there was 3 white people who got killed. No, I don't think we were looking at that part. We weren't looking at that part. We was not looking at the 3 white people that got killed. We were looking at the system and how the system was dealing with it, because we know, if anybody know about court from the criminal side, this country lets you know who is the highest percentage of people sitting up in them damn courts, up in them damn jails. It is us. Am I right or am I wrong? It's us, right? We don't want to sit up in them damn courts like that, right? So that means that we know something about some damn court. We know something about how that shit go, right? So we see some new shit. We was like, what the fuck? This motherfucker went out there and got what is it, like the bingo. Motherfucker got the wheel and started telling it, okay, put your hand in there and pull out one on. We was like, what's that? What move was that? What move was that? Right? So if anybody, when something is faced, it seems like it's on the opposition side. When we start parading and putting things in front of our face, it's like, no, that ain't what it is. It's what we said, and that's what it's gonna be. So anyway, moving on. Now she said, especially when the perpetrator is a black person against a white person, how rare is that? A black person against a white person. We're talking about that makes mainstream. When we're talking about the case that the country has observed. We're not talking about them cases that don't get heard. But that's what she's trying to make this about, by making this one Daryl Brooks to be the one case, just like the Jesse Smollett gonna be the other case. These are the ones that's gonna always use on us in those situations. Anything else, they don't got it. Matter of fact, white folks won't even bring it up, but they're gonna get their little side hustle over here, and she gonna get in front of us and she gonna say that, and we just looking like, okay, right? And you remember when she got in front of that black crowd when she got there with T.I. See, she don't do too well not under them those situations, right? She got the fumbling and the bumbling, right? But anyway, so when a perpetrator is a black person against a white person, which is obviously happening more often in this country, she said it happens more often in this country. So you're inciting something. You're saying things that has a scent or smell like you trying to inflame and trying to validate something that ain't even true. Black Americans are the most murderous group in America by race. Okay, wait a minute. If we're only 40 million people, right? We're only 40 million according to y'all keep records of keeping us at 13%. And accordingly, white folks are 160 million, right? That's 4 times more than us. And you want to say that okay, are you talking about percentage? Because maybe that's what that is. You know how just like when we're talking about the liquid, right? We take the liquid drop, right? So when they first came out, those who were seeing my show, remember when I did the videos in that's why they had took them down, is because I did that in its early stages. I gave you the game on it in the beginning. But when they was talking about certain places, specifically, like say Chicago, they kept trying to say 70, 80% of the people, black people, were getting, you know what I'm saying, the sickness, right? They were getting the sickness. And so I went and looked and got the numbers, and I said, wait a minute, okay, 80% might be, but you didn't tell me what is the total number. Don't I need the total number to know what the percentages is? But if you only use percentage, how do I know? You understand how great the number is? So if you throw the percentage, 70%, 80%, but if you only got 40 people and you tell me 80% of 40 people, well, still look at that number compared to the whole population, then what's all this? The whoop is coming, the whoop is coming, the whoop is coming. But that's what they do, right? So they play with them games and them numbers. So she's doing the same thing. By percentage, we might be greater. But when you talk about total numbers and population, no, ain't no way. There is no way we're out killing you. And guess what? You're going to find out that everybody killed where they live. Huh? Right? So she got a lot of blowback because of that. Twitter got hot on that. Right? And then again, you want to specifically come out and say what? About black men. Right? Right? Because when you lay down at night, ain't no black man laying next to you. You ain't got no black man. You ever notice a lot of people who be doing that? They don't even lay with nobody that look like them. Now that's your choice, your preference. You do what you want to do. But it's so funny how these people who I'm an advocate, I love black people, but then they don't mate and then they don't have no children. And they don't even want their children looking like them, I guess. There's something about that, right? Maybe, maybe not. All right, but you know, it is what it is. So she said, again, of course, we all know the truth. What you mean we all know the truth? Black men are the most murderous group in America, and their victims are mostly other Black people. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that we as Black people don't have issues in our community. I would be lying. We have our issues, but our issue is cause and effect, of long cause and effect without any kind of attentive care and nobody really trying to resolve the issue. And it's like anything, you allow it to fester long enough, eventually what's going to end up happening is the illness is going to get worse and worse and worse, to the fact now you say, okay, it's a problem. Just like you're talking about these flash mobs going down here, you know what I'm saying, picking and stealing. Well, guess what? You bred people so that their ass would be having the sensational type, or the appetite, the sensational appetite for materialism, right? You advertise all day long. Don't you want this? Don't you want this? Don't you get tired of goddamn watching the damn video, the damn commercial? Like, damn, I can't even watch the damn shit without the commercials, right? So you always enticing my conscience that I'm always wanting something, I always need something. So what happens when you bred a generation or two or three like that, and then all of a sudden now they can't get money? What you think they gonna be doing? What y'all think they gonna be doing? They gonna be out here, everybody food for game. But right now, it's like, well, when you look at history, who are the ones that had their ancestors institutionalized and made it legal lawfully, right? Well, they're like the corporations, right? Well, guess who they attacking? Well, who they going to hit first? But you know they're going to do something about that, right? But how does that Kyle Rittenhouse tie into that? Is what we got to be looking at, right? Because you deputize, right? You deputize when they're about the same situation, but down there with property, right? They were down there taking, stealing, robbing property, and he was down there to help protect, right? So if this flash mob keep going, don't y'all see where this going? You see where it's going? All right, you heard it here. So anyway, somebody had gave her a tweet on there talking about that the FBI has been warning about dangers of white supremacy groups for over a decade. You should try actually following the website to see the news sources of that, right? But she don't want to hear that. She don't want to hear anything like that. You know why? Because her bread get buttered by doing the things she do. Why would you know what I'm saying? If this is a capitalistic country and you need capital, matter of fact, hold on, how about this? Now, tell me, what type of motherfucker is this? Tell me what kind of motherfucker would say this shit. Again, like I said, if you could sit there and say this, what type of motherfucker, birds of the feather flock together. Now check this out.
Wait, when you mentioned that the UK was ahead of us, they were. Do you know that the slave owners were compensated? After they lost their quote-unquote property, the government compensated slave owners.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and so when people talk about reparations, do they really want to have that conversation? Because, like it or not, slavery was legal. And so their property, their legal property, was taken away from them after the Civil War. So you can make an argument that the people that are owed reparations, and not only just black people, but also the people whose quote property, close quote, was taken away after the end of the Civil War.
Right? What kind of mug that sitting there talking about, hey, you know what? I don't know why we talking about reparations. The ones who had you enslaved ought to get reparations if you want to have that conversation. What type of what? Really? You know what I'm saying? But just like when he ran over there trying to be governor, and who was out there throwing them bottles trying to rock his head? Who was out there trying to bust his head to the white meat? It wasn't us. Them same people that you saying they should be getting, they'll bust your head to the white meat. You get what I'm saying? And that's, you know what I'm saying? But the mother was sitting there talking with just with the mother across the table, and she was, I never knew that. That's very interesting. Anything that don't want to have to do, anything that'll make them seem like they're making you like something wrong, that you got an issue about the conditions you've been in and what has been wrong by you. No, that's not true. This is true. Like, damn, man, what kind of is you? Really? What kind of, it's ridiculous that these people are like this and they walk around like ain't nothing wrong. But you know what? I remember I heard, how about this? How about this? I want y'all to hear this, man. Maybe this got something to do with it. Check this out.
The act of passing is a little understood part of our nation's troubled history with race. From the days of slavery to the civil rights movement and beyond, some lighter-skinned African Americans escaped the often brutal realities of racism by creating new lives as white people. Now Stanford historian Allison Hobbs explores their stories in a new book titled A Chosen Exile, A History of Racial Passing in American Life. Karen Grigsby Bates of NPR's Code Switch team has this report.
Perhaps the most enduring image of passing came from the 1934 movie Imitation of Life. In it, a young light-skinned girl, Peola Johnson, yearns to escape the stigma of race, even if it means abandoning her family.
I'm not black. I'm not black. I won't be black.
When Peola grows up, she runs away from the Negro college she was attending to live life in a new city as a white woman. She has a job that would have been closed to her if she'd acknowledged her colored blood. Her heartbroken mother dies soon after. Historian Allison Hobbs says too much of the story of passing is focused on what was gained, new jobs, new freedoms, rather than what was left behind.
I started to realize that writing this history of passing is really writing a history of loss.
So Hobbs devoted 10 years of research to this part of the story. We're in Hobbs's office at Stanford University, where the walls are hung with pictures of Black Americans throughout history. She's flipping through a huge notebook stuffed with stories of fair-skinned Black people who passed as white. But the true inspiration for Hobbs' book came from her own family's history. Several years ago, a favorite aunt told her about a distant, very fair cousin whose mother forced her to leave her hometown in the 1930s and moved to Los Angeles to live as a white woman.
Her mother really felt that this was the very best thing that she could do for her daughter. She felt that this was a way of offering her daughter opportunities and a new life that she wouldn't be able to have if she lived as a Black woman on the south side of Chicago.
So the cousin moved to California, passed, married a white man, and raised children who knew nothing of their Black heritage. About a decade later, her phone rang. The woman's father was dying, and her mother wanted her to return home to see him one last time.
Our cousin says, I can't come home. I can't go back. I'm a white woman now, and there's just no turning back.
The cousin missed her father's funeral and never saw her mother or her siblings again. Hobbs was haunted by this story of gaining whiteness while losing family.
And it made me think about all of the families that likely have a story like this.
Her research found many. People like Elsie Roxborough from a distinguished Black Detroit family who left to live as white in New York, something noted in the local Black press. And Harry S. Murphy, who'd attended the University of Mississippi in 1945 for an entire year as a cadet in a military program because a commanding officer assumed Murphy was white.
In 1962, when James Meredith was integrating Ole Miss, Harry S. Murphy said that Ole Miss was fighting a battle that they had no idea that they had lost years ago.
There were people who passed for work and returned to their Black lives in their private hours, their employers none the wiser, and others who left everyone and everything they knew forever. But some African Americans who passed reversed themselves later. Like the Johnstons, a prosperous family in New Hampshire that after 10 years of living as white grew tired of the lie and publicly declared themselves Negro in 1949. Hobbs says the Johnstons became a national story.
This is after World War II, and this is a moment when there's a sense that perhaps integration is on the horizon. So a lot of the newspapers that covered this story were looking at the Johnstons as being kind of emblems of the integrationist era.
True integration wouldn't occur for decades. The civil rights movement removed de jure segregation that was often the catalyst for many people's decision to pass. Later, Black pride would make the practice déclassé. And the continuing evolution of multiculturalism in America would seem to make passing irrelevant.
I'm sure it still exists because certainly there are still benefits that accrue to being white. But I think that it's important to kind of locate the practice of passing within the particular political and economic and social conditions of the time period.
Hobbs hopes her book helps people understand that most Black people who passed during this painful period didn't want to be white. They just wanted to be free.
Hey, you sitting here watching the video. Why you sitting there? Put your hand on that like button, click it, thumbs it up, share this video, comment. You can like or dislike it. We don't care about that. And also, if you ain't over here and subscribe, what you waiting on? Get yourself over there and subscribe to get on up to WeUpReport so you can stay up because we going to keep you up. That's how you help keep this channel going. You can also do some monetary donations. We'll tell you about that later. But right now, wake yourself up, like, share, and comment. And don't forget, when you subscribe on that button, hit that put all notifications. You know how YouTube get down.
Okay, so passing, huh? So maybe what it is when you can't pass, like in the old, like for some of us, our ancestors go back that they could pass. What happens when you're highly melanated and your phenotype is Negroid? You can't pass. So maybe just your ideology has to change, right? But what's funny at the end part, she says, is they just wanted to be free. So you mean to tell me that these people that we see that's in front of us that will get on front of national TV, spew in opposition to us with a straight face, and actually some of them think they said Jesse Lee Peterson. I mean, we can go down a list of a lot of them that do that, and then, right, they don't say, well, all they really want to do is just be free. At whose expense, right? Because to say that we are the most murderous group, you're making people justify their nonsense when they do it, and then that's what this, I guess, is this where it's systemic from when they say fearing for my life? See, people will talk about these statistics and stats and talk about, but she didn't say anything about no stats. Even them from the Young Turk, and it was like she just, she's a paid op for the young for Carlson Tucker and them to be able to say these things and to really just be in opposition to anything that stands that when Black people try to, just say we're trying to bring awareness, trying to make some, bring some attention to that. Like you said, we bring these things out of straight air. These things are not really relevant. These are just some things we made up, always downplaying us. It's like when you were talking about the last election, when they were talking about Russian bots. Like, you don't have the capacity of mind to make any decisions that they didn't grant or they didn't tell you to do. You can't think on your own. And if you do anything, well, it's by fluke. It's never by the fact that you just said, we just doing this shit. No. See, some people think that things have changed, right? It's just evolved. That's really all it is. It's really just evolved. And you can define it based on your interpretation of it. Some of us know what we in. Others have other ways to try to make themselves think that it's something different. And then you have some person like these people who will keep reiterating to you that it's you, that you won't change. It's all about you. There's nothing wrong with them. It's all on you. And they get paid. And they live good, and they don't live nowhere around you. But yet from that TV, they're spreading all their subliminal seeds all over this damn country to other folks who know they've been benefiting from, again, as Paul Mooney would say, complexion of the protection, right? You get the complexion of the protection, and because you don't get all the economic gain, but you have privilege in it. But then when you see that are people who you've been taught to keep down, and then they're working themselves to where, again, let's say if this was a balancing, you see that the scale is trying to tip itself to even, and people are getting threatened by that. And then you're seeing black people on these videos going to get acres of land, and they're talking about getting their economics together. They're talking about getting their family structures together, huh? So who is threatened by all this? You get what I'm saying? Who's threatened by all this? And so they got to go get their minions to keep coming back out here to reiterate, to get them fired up, because somewhere in this chess game, something is coming soon that you already, because again, who are you talking to when you're saying that the murders, black people are the most murderous group? Who are you talking to? Are you talking to us? I don't think you're talking to us. I think you're talking to somebody else. And so, matter of fact, thinking about that case, let me touch that, because see, she said that when it came to that particular case, that we made that up, that we we didn't have a dog in the fight, which we didn't. That wasn't our fight. What happened with the Kyle Rittenhouse situation? Wasn't our fight. That wasn't our fight. That wasn't our fight. But I had, before I go to that, let me tell you this. Remember, she said about murderous group and went by race. But I went to old fact checker, right? We all know about that damn fact checker and how that's right. But fact checker, at least I'm gonna show us. I can't show y'all. Y'all can't see it. Y'all really can't see it. But anyway, fact checker had put out an article on September 29th of 2020 called "Rates of Whites and Black, or White on White and Black on Black Crime," they say, are similar. Let me say that again. They say that the rates of white on white and black on black crimes are similar. Okay? Now remember, she the one got on TV talking about some that we the most murderous group. Now, this is what they had in this article. It talks about how they got the total number of males and female. They break it down to the categories of race. Now they say white people, total number was 7,029. 5,123 males, and then there's 1,904 females, right? So when they do the blacks, they say 9,913, 8,469 males, 1,440 females. Okay, talking about other races, there's only about 497. Unknown race, I don't know what an unknown race is, but 315. But they said Hispanic or Latino is only 2,847. But then, how about this? Now, based on what I just told you, black people had the highest number, 9,913, versus, says white, 7,029, right? So 9,000 is greater than 7,000. But it says not Hispanic or Latino. What does that mean? Not Hispanic or Latino. What does that mean? It means white, don't it? Don't that mean white? Not Hispanic or Latino means white. And guess what that number was? 11,347. Okay? Got 11,000. So if you got 11,000 in the not Hispanic or Latino box, and then you got in the white box 7,029, how come that ain't greater than the 9,913? Because you split it up. You split it up. But everybody white when they check in that box. But when they start to get specific and talking about, being murder and crime, now you want to split it. What's the difference between the not Hispanic, Latino versus the white? They both white. So why you don't combine them together and get that 18,376? You don't want that, because now you're number one. It's obvious you would be number one. It's more of you than it is us. Why you got to fabricate? Why you got to lie? Why has it got to be the Negro scare? Huh? Wait a minute. I guess we 300. You know what I'm saying? We can go against Xerxes. We only got 300, and Xerxes come with all his damn men. That's how y'all acting. So damn well that you kill where you live. And you motherfuckers know they get drunk. Who the biggest consumer in drugs? Who drinking the most? Huh? Oh yeah, we have our crime, what's going on again through economics and poverty and so we're not denying that, but y'all denying it. Y'all denying it. And then you have this one, somebody here saying it, enticing people to believe that we the most murderous group. Get out of here with that, right? You know that's what is it, poppycock? That's poppycock, man. But anyway, but there was a viral meme that went out here. Some of y'all might have seen it. And this viral meme was saying something like this. It said that white killing blacks, 2%. Now look at that. Whites killing black, 2%. Police killing whites, 3%. Whites killing whites, 16%. Blacks killing whites, 81%. Really? Police killing blacks, 1%, and blacks killing blacks, 97%. So black people are killing white people, and black people killing black people. But white people ain't killing each other. They just nice and wholesome and doing nothing. We the only ones. Yeah, when we look at that damn news, we know who all on that damn news. We know who on the news. But when you went to this stat, but this meme went viral. So I'm wondering, Candace, did you get your stats from this viral meme that had just came out and you used that? You didn't say where you got it from. So fact checker went and said, no, she's not white. So they went back from 1980 to 2008. And they said the Department of Justice found that 84% of white victims were killed by white offenders. They said 93% of black victims were killed by black offenders. Okay. Now, let's look at that. 84% white victims kill white and 93% would kill black. Now, 93% is greater than 84%. But let's get down to the population. So let's say if there's 40 million of us and you killed 90% of the 40 million. That'd be about 4 million people left, right? But if you had 160 million and you took 80% of that, you'll kill 120 million. How are we the greatest killer? Oh, by percentage, but not by population and numbers, we're not the greatest killers. But they're going to say we the greatest killers, right? You're going to say we the greatest killers. We're not the greatest killers. But you got to skew them numbers and try to make it see and paint us that way. All right, fine. Going on. In 2018, the Federal Bureau of Investigation reported that 81% of white victims were killed by white offenders. 81%. 89% of black victims were killed by black offenders. That's 81 to 89. What's the difference? By 8%. Okay, yes, we are doing a lot of killing. That shouldn't be, but a lot of that stuff, we understand what it cause and effect is coming from that. That don't justify it. But do not put us number one as if these other people ain't having the same damn problem. They got problems too, but we're not going to focus on the problem. We're just going to focus on you. So in 2017, the FBI reported almost identical figures. 80% of white victims were killed by white offenders. 88% of black victims were killed by black. Again, it's 2017, 80 to 88. See? But let her tell you that. She going to tell you and make it seem like, oh, no, you guys always killing, right? You're always that. So somebody went out there, put out this BS meme, and then people just running with it, just running with it. So it's like, damn, okay, fine. So you get on Tucker, you say those things, and then you did this. Did y'all hear that little part in there? Or should I go back and let you hear that again? Let me go back in there and let you hear that one more again. So you can hear this, because this is the part here. This is why I'm trying to connect this dot before I get up out of here. There's a dot that needs to be connected. So let you hear that again, what she said. I want you to hear this one more again.
Well, the suspect in the Waukesha Christmas parade tragedy on Sunday night will be charged in court later today, facing 5 counts of intentional homicide. And while the DA is calling for bail to be set so high that Darrell Brooks won't be able to get out of jail, many are wondering how he was on the street given his lengthy rap sheet. He's a career criminal. This is, we learned he was out on a $1,000 cash bond just before the parade.
are so race obsessed. And one thing I always say, Tucker, is that the left can pull a racist narrative from thin air where it doesn't exist, but when it actually is in their face, they try to avoid it at all costs, especially when the perpetrator is a black person against another white person, which obviously happens more often in this country, given the fact that black Americans are the most murderous group in America by rate. Now, what's interesting here is that the two biggest race cases of the last 2 years, arguably George Floyd and Kyle Rittenhouse, never actually produced a single piece of evidence pointing to race, right? George Floyd, Derek Chauvin never used racial language or racial slurs against George Floyd during that arrest. It didn't matter. It became the biggest race case in America. Kyle Rittenhouse, that case had to do with 3 white people. It didn't matter. They extracted a racial narrative for that case. Here you have a man who was pointedly talking about white people all across social media, sometimes genocidal, by the way. He was sharing posts from Zimbabwe, news sources talking about the disappearance of white people in the country in the next 5 years as if it was a good thing.
All right, so we back, right? So you heard that little snippet where she says that Daryl Brooks was saying things about white folks, right? And there was an article that had came out about that. Now, again, I'm not here to advocate on Daryl Brooks, what he did, the atrocity of what happened, and the people that lost their lives. You know, some people will act like black people out here high-fiving, having a hold down and everything else, but that's not the fact. That's not, no, we didn't see that at all, but that's the way you're painting it, right? You're painting it that way. So what I want to talk about is what you said. And what you said is that when you compare, right, when you talk about the George Floyd situation, and you said there was no race involved in that. You said because he didn't say anything. Do I have to say anything if I got my damn knee on your neck? I'm not saying enough. What else need to be said? Show us the knee in the neck of a white cop. Well, you know, they did show some people later after that, but you didn't show them on their neck like we seen with George Floyd. We didn't see it in its entirety. But you would say that it had nothing to do with race. Okay. That's your interpretation of it. But there was other parts of that story that seemed to have just fell out. And one part of that story was about where they worked at, where there was a connecting dot where they both worked at one place. And then remember, the dude that worked there originally came out and he said what he said. And then next thing you know, the place burns down. And then all of a sudden he recanted his story. And that was the end of that. That was going to connect that part, but they didn't need it anyway. The case was already, it was too obvious. But the point, it was there. But you will sit there and say that we made a narrative up that because they didn't say it. Sometimes they say action speaks louder than words. You don't have to say it to do it. You know, legislation and policy has been running. Ain't nobody saying nothing, but them policies and legislations are doing without anything being said, ain't they? Have been doing it, right? So anyway, so, you know, she goes on, she talks about this Darrell Brooks and talk about how he was talking about white folks. Now, again, there was an article that came out by Lee Brown, and it was talking about Darrell Brooks shared pro-Hitler memes call for violence against white people. Now, again, I told you, they're going to take this one individual and they're going to make him the poster because it ain't easy to, it's like those people who were looking at NFAC, right? You know, and not fucking around, right? Right? And then that situation that happened with them and the whole thing with that Grandmaster Jay, and then the point with the light to the cops and so forth, right? And then they ran, okay, now you're the militia, and then they point the gun. Okay, so they're going to take that one to demonize anything that ever try to organize and become a militia. That's what they're going to use that for, right? Now, after all these other situations that took place, now you got this one right after the Kyle Rittenhouse. But Kyle Rittenhouse was really based on what had happened prior to that started that off. Wasn't that the brother that got shot in his back by the cops? And then you came out there and everybody was saying, well, he had a knife, but it was in the car. He had a knife, but they were beating the shit out of him on the side of his car before he got into the car. But he had a knife. You understand? when he opened the car and went in there. Now, am I condoning to say you should have got your ass up and walked away like that? I am not telling you that. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is, then after all that, and your father came out there, your father was on code, and then they put the mic in your face, and next thing what you say, that's why ain't nobody talking about it. Because why? You okay, everything is good. Okay, fine. So what happens because of that now, with that situation of how people turned up, they was acting based on what had happened, right? So she said taking race out of the air, but everybody were reacting based on what they had seen. And they seen the injustice in that. But then what happens? Okay, that story just gonna go under the rug because of his admittance to certain things. So okay, that's fine. But the Kyle Rittenhouse is correlated to that. And they went out there, that group, you saying they said to protect, right? It was about protecting the property. But there was a question about that whole thing about whether the man that owned the shop wanted them out there. According to what he testified, if y'all heard the case, what did he say? But some people will say, oh, well, he's saying it because he know he would be accountable. Accountable to who? Because according to what the verdict was, everybody was justified. The person who did the killing was justified. So why would he hide and say that he told them to be out there? He wasn't gonna get in no trouble for that. You see what I'm saying? Oh, nobody remember that. No, nobody remember that part, huh? We had that. You didn't. Oh, okay, you didn't put that. We had that. And if you go back and listen to what he said, he asked him. Carlton Tucker asked him. So the guy told you to come. He didn't say yeah. He said, well, I asked him, and he said we could come out there. So that right there was the key. That was the whole key lynch to that whole point. If you didn't have no reason being out there, okay. So now what we find out is all the things that end up making this case, you say we looking at it and there's no race in there. We were looking at the system, the process. And so when you go back and you look at the laws of how that whole case went down, they were talking about gun and well, let's put it like this. Do you not know that those guns that you be seeing them out there with, you be seeing them all out there, they be strapped up, suited and booted, right? What they call those AR-15s, right? Do you know what them AR-15s are? Do y'all think those are what, shotguns? They ain't nothing but a damn pistol. It's classified as a damn pistol. Classified as a damn pistol, right? It's a pistol. So they walking around there, got, looking suited and booted, and that gun is like a 9mm, right? So when people was thinking that he had, shotgun, short barrel, all that, no, that was just, that's nothing but a pistol, right? So now you have to ask yourself, then, okay, if he was underage according, now I can recite this. I can recite all of that because that's what happened. Now, again, this is not me. Again, the case is done. But she said we were sitting there acting this like there wasn't no race involved in this. No, it wasn't that there was no race involved in it. It wasn't there was no race involved. What it was is we seen the system help somebody that we know that we probably don't get that kind of help, right? Because when you go back and look at the gun laws, they talk about any person under the age of 18 who possess an armed, dangerous weapon, they say is guilty of a Class A misdemeanor, right? Right? That's right there in itself. That's what the law says in Milwaukee, right? That's what they say. Now, we didn't write that. That's what was written. But we can't say that, right? We're not supposed to talk about that. Then it talks about how there's an except that provides, okay, say any person who intentionally sells, loans, gives a dangerous weapon to a person under the age of 18 is guilty of a Class 1 felony. Now that's the person who's supposed to have got you the gun, right? Right? One person got the gun for a person who's underage, the other person got the gun. So right there, there's two parts. Okay, fine, that's fine. We ain't tripping about it. Got nothing to do with us. We ain't talking about whether black. We're looking at the system, right? Now it says whoever violates is guilty of a Class H felony. If the person is under 18 years of age, discharges a firearm, discharges causes a death, did serve for another, they're guilty. That's what we seen. That's what we was reacting to. What about it wasn't white. No. They were looking at the system, right? Black people just looking at the system for once, right? So this here is what made this whole thing go away. A person under 17 years of age who has violated this subjection or subsection is subject to the provisions, and they talk about 938, unless the jurisdiction is waived under 938-18, the person is subject to the jurisdiction of the court. So guess what happened? The court waived it, right? We see right in front of our face, the court waived it. So was it race or it was just the system, right? So we didn't want no big thing about it. It was just we were looking at the system and how it worked and how it operates. They say we're the #1 incarcerated. So that means we go in and out of the jail like revolving doors. And sometimes we don't see these kind of cases like this, or we don't see the way it's been magically worked. And I was like, oh, okay, that's how it go. Damn, okay. So that's how we was looking at it. So my thing is, with all that being said, we're not the most murderous group. Never could we be. It's not, no matter how much you try to make a damn Marvel comic book and make a black character, and he can never do it. But you got people out here who advocate and who will say these things and act as if like we're not supposed to say nothing that, hey, wait a minute. You can't be saying that. You can't be saying that we the most murderous group. Because what you're doing is you opened up a portal in some of these mugs' minds and thinking that, well, if I get myself in a situation, I'm going to be able to say, well, these guys are the most murderous. I was fearful of my life. Well, they've been using it. But now what happened is under this situation here, you done deputized. And so what done happen is, or what's going to happen possibly, is they keep on with these flash mobs. And remember, the spread thin of the cops ain't there. So what's going to happen? Community's going to get deputized to go help protect property. And next thing you know, you might see mugs out here doing things. You know what I'm saying? That's why I believe what she said is defamatory. And matter of fact, I think we as a group, we probably need to file on her to cut her out from doing all that, because you're doing a little bit too much. But anyway, as I get in, I want to talk about this last part. Did y'all see how they the Emmett Till case, right? Did y'all hear about that? That they're gonna go ahead and close the Emmett Till case, right? Emmett Till case. Since you're talking about 1955. There's some things I learned about the Emmett Till story that has never been like really talked about. We hear about the wolf whistle, we hear about what took place and all that. But I had seen and read something. I went back and there was an article that they wrote back at that time in 55 or 56, and it was called Look. It's called Look magazine. And what it was telling, they gave the details. I guess they went and they had reporters and they talked to the families. And there were some things that had been said. And it's kind of the beginning story about talking to our children. Just imagine 1955, how we used to go down south, right? That was part of our ritual. Those who lived in the city in the summertime, we go down south, get reacquainted back with our family. That was kind of, and then come back for the, right before, maybe 2 weeks before the summer, get a little bit, or a month before. And, you get back. That used to be our ritual, to and fro, right? But 1955, to go down there, and then the story talks about how that, supposedly this is what happened. Now, again, I would like to actually, I might wait for this tomorrow, because did y'all see the video? Did y'all see the show that the Emmett Till cousins, and they just reacted to what the FBI did when they closed the case? And you heard some of the things that were said. Maybe I'll just wait, because there's a lot I want to actually talk about that. I'm not going to go there, because I'm going to put that on for the next show, let you hear just in case y'all didn't hear it. And I got some things to say about that because, you know, Emmett Till, according to what they said, you're going to be surprised if you never heard the entirety of this story or what I got and what I'm going to lay it out for you. I'm probably going to read it out for you. But yeah, man, if that's true, and I would like to know by the family, is that story that they reported, is it true? And if it is true, see, we've always had this lesson and we've been ignoring that all this time. But I don't want to give away too much of it, but got to stay to my next show. So, Candace Owens thing, man, I mean, you know, I remember when, you know, what's his name? What's the one that when he had to talk about Trayvon Martin, and he was bigging up George Zimmerman. Well, I got it right here. How about this? I'll let y'all see this right quick before we get out of here.
Just to clarify, though, Trayvon Martin wasn't committing crime.
It was an unfortunate incident. Two people had preconceived notions about each other. It never should have been happened. Doesn't make George Zimmerman a criminal. I used to work in the DA's office, Pierce. I'm telling you, it was a dog case, a reasonable doubt case. Nobody I know would have filed the case.
Yeah, well, we disagree, obviously, about that. I think it's completely wrong.
Obviously.
That George Zimmerman should get no punishment at all for killing an unarmed teenager.
He's got serious punishment. He can't go anywhere. Are you kidding? He's a marked man. Well, he's going to be sued civilly. He will never have a moment of peace. He killed somebody. Morally, he's got to deal with that, Pierce. He recognizes that. He's not an
Larry, if I may
he
respond.
recognizes what he did.
You see how he was looking? He said he killed somebody. Oh, ain't that what we were saying? We were saying that the whole time too. But you slipped the gear and you see how he was looking like, oh shit. Did I just say that? Yeah, you said that. Because see, that's how the truth do. Truth be falling out of people's mouth. You be trying to hide stuff all the damn time, trying to make it seem like we don't know the difference between what we've seen. We know that the system will say that you could be innocent. We know that. That don't necessarily mean, again, you know, they said that slavery, a lot of them will hide behind the fact to say that slavery was lawful. But does lawful mean right? Don't necessarily mean right. It's just the people who legislating, who voted and said, we're going to make this law. But that don't necessarily mean that all those laws and the legislation that have been done are accurate and correct. And so it's people like this and others that, you know, we in the day and time era, we got to iron all this stuff got to get straightened out. Y'all can't keep purporting and making us this. Now, we're not against data. We're not against statistics. We know that we got issues, but damn, is it only us? Because these same people have never got no smoke for the other side. They never got no smoke. They never. Matter of fact, do you not know? Now, remember, she did the Carson Tucker maybe 3-4 days before that, and then it was the killing in the killing with the white boy that shot at the school. You know what she said? On the show after this. Let me see. We got that. This is what she said. Hold on one second here. This is what she said about that. All that you went out there talking about, oh, we the most murderous, we the group with the most murderous people. We're a murderous group. But when it came to you to have to talk about, let's see, we got that. Hold on. No, we got that. Hold on one second, y'all. 1 second. I think she got that quote. Where that quote at? Because she quoted that. She went on Twitter and put that out there. Hold on. Where's that at? Yeah, where's that at? Okay, there we go. Hold on. No. Where's it at? I didn't even go into the whole thing about Dale Brooks. I didn't even do that, did I? I went past that, didn't I? I didn't even mention that. But I'll go to that part there and we ended on her. But this is what she's talking about. And this is why I said they're using him as this, because even he said they're making me a boogeyman. Now, remember I told you it was an article called Daryl Brooks Share Pro-Hitler Memes Call for Violence Against White People, right? And this is what it says here. This is some of the stuff that it says. Something going on here. What's going on here? Okay. All right, so they talk about how he has a decade-long rap sheet. Now, did y'all notice the stuff that they were showing on his record? Y'all want to see it? I'm going to play it slow for you. Let me see. Yeah. All right. You see his record there, right? You're seeing the stuff that they're showing on there, right? Now, I'm not saying that's his entirety of his record, right? I'm not saying that's his entire record, but that's what they were showing on this clip here. All right. You see that, right? And it's going a little fast, but I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to give it to you so you can see it even better. All right, that's going to go slower for you, right? So you see 1999 aggravated battery, carrying a concealed weapon, sentenced to 2 years in prison. So he did a 2-year bid, aggravated battery, and I don't know the extent of what had happened, but he did the crime, he did the time, right? He did the crime, he did the time. 2000, carrying a concealed weapon, loitering, resisting or obstructing an officer. Now that right there, a lot of black men know that charge. We know how we get that, don't we? We know how we get that one, right? Possession of cocaine, case was not prosecuted. What happened? Don't know what happened. Okay. Carrying a concealed weapon. Okay. So did he have a gun permit? Maybe he had a gun. All right. 2002, obstructing an officer, driving a vehicle without consent, possession of THC, case was dismissed. Right? Right? They showing, right? Showing, okay. But again, this article I'm going to talk about, it said he had a long decade rap. He has a decade-long rap sheet. Yes, he got a long rap sheet. But what stuff are y'all showing right now? I just in case people didn't see it, I just wanted you to see what they were showing. 2003, resisting or obstructing an officer, sentenced 20 days in the House of Corrections. We know, as black men, we know how to get that, right? Resisting arrest. We know where that come from. We know how we get that. Okay, all right. 2005, resisting, obstructing the officer. Okay, you get what I'm saying? Right? Then 2005, receiving stolen property. Possession of controlled substance. But case was dismissed. Case was dismissed. Okay. And then you see there, 2009, paternity ward issue. Probably child support. Right? Probably child support. Right? Okay. So they, based on what the news showed, but when I go to this article, they come out Dale Brooks Jr., who has a decade-long rap sheet, right? He has a series of disturbing memes, messages on social media, most of which have been deleted, so that all the stuff they just said don't exist, right? So it don't exist, but they said it's there, right? Right? Okay. Now again, I'm not here to defend him, okay? But I'm saying why that woman got on TV talking about we the most murderous group, and then trying to use this and say why we not advocating. Well, we didn't have enough information. We seen what we seen. Nobody was, again, we're not high-fiving and cajoling it. Yeah, no. But let me go on. Now they said, according some of the stuff that they talking about here. What is that? Hold on. Hold on. Where's that coming from? Where's that coming from? Okay, get that out of here. All right, so they talking about there's numerous posts where he's attacking cops, compared them to the Ku Klux Klan members and calling them violent street gangs. Now, this is what the article had said, right? Now, remember, again, he ran people over. That's serious, and again, that's nothing to play with. But if somebody guilty, you don't have to extra paint. You know what I'm saying? You ain't got to put on, all right, you ain't got to keep mayonnaise in the sandwich up, right? You ain't got to put all that damn mayonnaise on the damn sandwich. You got too much mayonnaise on this shit. Hey, just put a lick of mayonnaise. Look at all this damn, man. You got a damn jar on this shit. Look at this, give me a look. You get what I'm saying? Why you putting so much on it? Right? If he is what you say is, you ain't got to do all this. You ain't got to blow it up. So they say that, again, based on what you seen his record, right? Based on you seeing his record, right? You see his record that they were showing. I'm not saying this is the entire of it, but what you've seen on there, him having all them obstructing and resisting arrest, that means he done had a lot of encounters with who? He had a lot of encounters with who? The police. So, sometimes when people have bad interaction with people, they get, got bad blood. So according to the article, they said he was making posts attacking cops, compared them to the Ku Klux Klan members, calling them violent street gangs, right? And then they said he's calling for violence towards white people, right? Now these are articles they put out here. They said that. I was like, oh, okay, all right. So check this out. Now they take one of his posts. It said this: learned and taught behavior. He wrote on June 9th last year amid the violence upheaval, George Floyd murder by a Minnesota cop, right? Learned and taught behavior. He said learned and taught behavior. So is he implying what happened to George Floyd, that the person that was on him doing what they were doing, that what you see is somebody who was learned and taught to behave like that? So is that wrong, him saying that? Or is that him, defaming the man's character or saying something that may not could be substantiated or has no relevance? Only you can say that, right? But that's him saying that. But we're gonna paint him as what we're saying he is, though, right? So then he says this. Now, this is what he said according to this article. He said, so when we start knocking, he said, when we start back knocking white people the fuck out, I don't want to hear it. The old white people too. Knock them the fuck out. Period. Now, I'm not, again, these is his words. Matter of fact, hold on. How do this? Do that.
Portions of the following program may be unsuitable for younger or more sensitive viewers. Viewer discretion is advised.
Okay? Right? So that's what he said, right? That's what they wrote. That's what he said. Now, when he said that, we're not in agreement with that. We ain't rolling with him with that. That's that personal, man, and whatever beef he got. But again, he has to stand for that, what he said. So I get that. But in itself, knocking somebody out is not killing them. It's a crime. It can be battery and so forth, right? And we understand the implication that something could happen and tragedy happen, but that's him saying that, and again, getting on social media saying some crazy shit. You shouldn't be saying that. But again, he's supposed to have wrote this, and then they want to make sure you know that that's his rap name, Mass Boy Fly, right? And then he got a middle finger emoji. I mean, they went to all the specifics. They're painting the mayonnaise on thick, baby. You understand? They put that mayonnaise on thick, right? So I'm just saying, you don't have to paint somebody if it's already there, right? And then they went on and said that he's anti-Semitic. They said he aligns himself with the belief of the Black Hebrew Israelites. Huh? Okay. Now we done see videos about the Hebrew Israelites. We hear the stuff that they're talking and how to use the Bible. And everybody ain't with it, but there's a lot of us who we understand what they're talking about. Some of us subscribe to that and so forth. But you remember the Black Hebrew Israelites should have gotten the spotlight back when it was, remember when it was the Indian man that got in between the high school white boy, and then the other side was the Hebrew Israelite. But they didn't get no smoke. They didn't put no light on them for some odd reason. They focused on the drumming Indian dude. Y'all remember that? It was the drumming Indian dude, right? Like he wasn't even there, right? So I'm just saying, okay, he lined himself with the Hebrew Israelites, so that means he's anti-Semitic because he won't say that the Hebrews aren't black people, and okay. He said things about the cops, but he has a lot of ordeals with the cops because of obstruction of justice. He done dealt with them a lot. So it's like, okay, man, all right. So is that crazy you say he could be? But I think you might be pitting on. Then they talk about how he said, he titled something, said Hitler knew who the real Jews were. Now remember when Deshaun Jackson did that, right? When Deshaun Jackson put that clip on that paper and the big hoopla about that, you know what everybody did back then? The claim of what was written, they debunked it and said that that was debunked, that Hitler never said that, right? But there was publications and people who made books that should have been able to substantiate that, but they never went to them. So in this article, what they said is, this is what it says. He titled, Hitler knew who the real Jews were. It shares the widely debunked claim that Nazi maniacs had warned that his genocide was partly driven because he knew the Negroes are the true Hebrews, right? So he said, he lined in this suggests World War III would start when people learned Hitler was right and did the world a favor by killing those people. You know what I'm saying, right? So this is what he had on his paper. So now they're going to use this to say how such a bad guy he is. Let's ask the question. If there is a book that has this, shouldn't they be able to show where they got their information from? So it should be somewhere in the book, right? But they ain't gonna say that. And so what they went and said is, this is how they're gonna answer it. This is what they did. They said they went to Reuters investigation. Reuters investigated made clear that there's no reason to suggest the warning was made by Hitler. Wait a minute. Suggest the warning was made by Hitler. So did he or did he not? Suggesting it's not neither here or yet. They suggested. We don't think he suggested. Because they said who saw black people as a threat to purity of the Germanic race. But that okay, but then that's the question. Why was they doing what they were doing? Maybe them people who were subscribing to that particular religion, and according to who the ethnicity of them people are, and if you claiming to be that, then aren't you saying you part of these people too? And wouldn't that be tainting up them? You get what I'm saying? So somebody ain't telling something, but again, we're not trying to get into all that. What I'm saying is they're subscribing him to that. How are they doing? They're subscribing him to that, right? And so here she is on there making a comparison, saying black people making all this stuff up, but you made up all this stuff, but you ain't got nothing to say about this over here. And then they said that in his rap song, they went into one rap song and said that he said he was a terrorist and that he's a killer in the city. See? But you know what? To end this, you know what Candace Owens said? She had posted on her tweet. She said, according to what she said, that Darrell Brooks was fleeing from a knife attack. Okay? He was fleeing from a knife attack. So if he was fleeing from a knife attack, I don't know if he being the attacker or somebody was attacking him, then he was driving away and then happened to hit a damn street that he didn't know that parade was on and cut down them damn blocks. And once he got down, he couldn't get out. So he had to weave. He ended up doing the damage and killing that he did. There's no justifying that. But if he was being chased or he was fleeing from another situation, why try to make him paint him out to make that his whole attack was to go down there and to kill the parade people? I don't even know if all of them were white, but according to they said they all were white. But if they were all white, why make him be that what he was doing? if he was already fleeing from somewhere else and just happened to cut down a damn street that he shouldn't have and got himself and it just happened to be there? Right? Could that have been it? Oh, they're not going to say that. They're going to paint it like the way they painted it. So, again, you tell me what y'all think, right? You tell me what you think. We're going to get ready to get out of here. For those who are new over here, it's what we do. We've been hidden over here for a long time. Just trying this venue out to see if this works. I'm going to look at it afterwards. If it's what it do, then I'm keep doing it this way. It's going to get better. But I want to thank each and every one of y'all for sitting out here. And before we go, for y'all who new in here.
Hey, you sitting here watching the video. Why you sitting there? Put your hand on that like button, click it, thumbs it up, share this video, comment. You can like or dislike it. We don't care about that. And also, if you ain't over here and subscribe, what you waiting on? Get yourself on there and subscribe to get on up to WeUpReport so you can stay up because we're going to keep you up. That's how you help keep this channel going. You can also do some monetary donations. We'll tell you about that later. But right now, wake yourself up, like, share, and comment. And don't forget, when you subscribe on that button, hit that put all notifications. You know how YouTube get down.
All right, so that's going to do for today's show. Again, it was kind of a test, but we're going to do the show just to see how it works. Again, I want to thank, Mr. Spencer 620 in the house. I know he in the house. I don't know who else is in the house, but I appreciate your comment, brother. And again, this is the Most Hated Show. Until my next show, y'all. Until the next show.
you